This session brought to you by Odyssey Games for pre-orders and sealed product, CCG Prime for tons of singles and supplies, Cardo Doko for international rulers looking for products, and fowlibrary.com for articles and wonderful deck lists, as well as our guest lecturer members King Pearlshine, Vite Ramen. Class is in session. Hey there, rulers. Welcome back after a long week of Force of Will to your favorite ever live Force of Will podcast. It's Office Hours featuring myself, DMO73, and I'm joined by Mike Rance.
It is 105 degrees here right now.
And Paul Reisman.
It is 68 degrees here right now.
We are glad to be here talking about Force of Will. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. Just as a reminder that later this week, August 19th, is the August fundraiser for Force of Will Festival 2023. You can play in our Wanderer event. It's $10 to get signed up. There is a link in the description to get signed up for that. Top 8 will be walking away with the sick exclusive Raging Messiah mat that will never be printed again. We are printing it for this event. Then it's done. So go ahead and consider signing up for that. It's going to be just a straight Wanderer event. You can also check out Odyssey Games for pre-orders for the new set. I believe they should still have pre-orders up. If not, I will remind them on Wednesday to see if they can up their numbers. But this set is already looking like it's going to be insane. Definitely want to get into it. So get those pre-orders in. Lastly, you can check in the description below for all of the information about FowFest 2023 happening the last weekend of October in Kalamazoo, Michigan. You can check the Facebook event. We have shared a ton of pricing that has been posted there, including our good friends at Replicant Deck Boxes just showed off the new Prisia deck box that they designed. It is a 3D model deck box that you can paint, although many people just keep these Replicant deck boxes in their natural things, like the natural sculpting. 3D sculpted deck boxes. We will have first, second, and third will be taking one of these away. We'll have one for the giveaway. We'll have multiple for the prize wall. And the cosplay contest at FowFest, the winner of that will take home one of these deck boxes. So really, really cool stuff. And I'm not even done. I still have even more stuff to show you in the coming weeks. So definitely want to go get that checked out. Okay. Spoilers? You guys think? Spoilers?
Oilers.
Okay. Let's go for it. We have first up Enchanting Sortier. This is a 1 blue enchanting skill. Choose one. If it was chained, choose up to 2. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Card from among them into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. Cancel a target activate ability your opponent controls. And then we already know what chaining is. Ability cancel back in blue.
Oh, hey, they listened to us 5 years later.
Hey. There you go. Can we also talk about how this just is insane for him? Like, this card is absolutely insane. Like, the fact that he is going to get to peep 3, keep 1, send to the grave when he wants flowers in grave to, like, reduce cost of stuff. Like, this is probably hands down the most obvious best skill for that ruler that we've seen printed yet.
Like, there's a reason it's a super.
Yeah.
Especially since it's also has quick cast, so you can do it on your opponent's turn, which is kind of nuts.
Yeah.
Really love that.
And activate abilities, right? Like, let's talk about having more activate ability cancels. That's just nice.
This is Glimpse of Kaguya now.
Yeah. Jeez Louise. I'll take it.
Like, how far we've come.
7, 8 years later, we got Glimpse of Kaguya back. Kind of. Like, this
it also draws the card if you chain it. So
it does also draw a card if you chain it. Like, this card is nuts. I do want to say we have, speaking of chaining, we have had some information come up that the German reminder text for chaining currently translates to if this is the first spell you played after a skill you played, this card is chained, meaning that it doesn't have to like hold priority necessarily to get the chaining. Like, if your opponent interrupts, you can still like get the chain off. And the reason why that's relevant is specifically because it's in the reminder text of chaining. So we need to see how the CR updates. But it'll pretty drastically change our initial kind of impression of these cards if that's the case, because it means that chaining is a lot more consistent and a lot easier to make you happen, which is pretty cool. Just wanted to put that out there.
Is
You're
there
not
any
playing watered.
significant difference
Go ahead.
between chaining and torrent?
Um,
Other than the fact that it's not like any spell, it's like these specific skill spells.
It is specific in the sense that like you can't like torrent. You could play a torrent spell into a torrent spell and it would work. Enchanting, like chaining, is specifically that it has to be a different skill, right? So I can't do enchanting skill into enchanting skill. I would have to do wild skill into enchanting skill to consider it chained. So it's really like leaning on the tag mechanic, right? So those of you who are thinking about the fact, like that's the other thing that's we had a conversation about this at locals, is the fact that the rulers are vanilla. Really, the ruler's mechanic is chaining and skills. Like that's what their actual like benefit of playing that ruler is, right? The benefit of playing these vanilla rulers is that I get to make use of the mechanic chaining and that I get skills. Like that's the benefit to them, especially because these cards can only be played with their corresponding ruler. Like, so it makes sense that they're vanillas to me now, because chaining seems insane if it works the way that the German reminder text is. So yeah, Mike, any thoughts?
It's a card.
There we go. Thank you. There's Mike coming in
hot, boys.
Coming in hot, boys. Next up we have Enchanting Words. I love his little crown on his head. It's so cute. 1 blue. Put target non-magic stone, non-jade ruler entity your opponent controls, so total cost 1 or less. This hits most of the Regalia, just so you know. On top of its owner's deck, you can search your deck for an addition with total cost 1, reveal it, and put it to your hand. If you do, shuffle your deck. So this is always a +1. This card's pretty good.
I like whispering too, Jeremy.
Whispers. You want to know why I also really like this card? Is if your opponent like has a Black Witch on field, you can just be like, put the Black Witch back on top of your deck. Now that the Black Witch is gone, I'm gonna go search. Yeah,
love it.
I like this card a lot. I think this card's great. Any like time walking is like pretty great. Uses eyeshadow or lacks sleep. Probably the eyeshadow thing.
Probably both, honestly.
Maybe.
Like, why doesn't he sleep?
Yeah, I don't know.
What's going on here, man?
The crippling
Maybe it's like the
weight of having to be a good blue ruler.
It's got that like that opium look, right? I've had too much flour.
Too much flour.
Too much flour.
Speaking of too much flowers, this is Super Bloom. 1 cost X, 1+X enchanting skill. Put all flower additions with total cost X or less from your graveyard into the field.
Sure, man.
This is you pay. It doesn't say with different names. Keep in mind, it just literally says all of them, and every flower we've seen so far has cost 1, except for I think maybe one of them which costs 2. So like, pay 2 will get million flowers and then have all of them trigger their enter effects.
This does not feel like a normal rare type effect, guys. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, like there's some people who think that this might be an errata or like might be a clarification of put, but the fact that it says put all flower additions is like, that can't be wrong. My thought would be like put flower additions with total combined cost of X or less from your graveyard into the field.
Nah,
like, that would make sense.
Just X.
You would think, right?
You would think, but no, just like pay 2, quick cast, get 9 flowers.
We're supposed to literally just standing there being like, you know what? We're gonna make people really fucking want to play this blue ruler, and this is how we do it.
Yeah.
My piecing then resolves and cancels your thing unless you play 8.
Yeah. Oh, can you imagine? Like, put a feat stick on the chase, and they're like, cast is fine, and you're like, cool. In response to its enter effect, Super Bloom.
Oh, this thing is quick cast.
Yeah.
This thing is quick cast.
Yeah, I think the only reason Robert brings up a good point there, Mike, is the fact that it's probably a normal is because it's locked to Niklaus. So,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, I
doesn't-
guess.
rarity doesn't really apply when only one ruler can use it.
Yeah, I don't know. It feels like it just feels like a very like super rare effect.
Yeah, this definitely feels like a super rare effect.
Yeah.
Like,
Looks like it looks like a super rare,
Yeah, honestly.
but it's
the
a
other
normal.
thing too is like, because the other thing too is we're about to go to the contract. Like, the contract is already going to be cheaper because it counts flowers on field and in grave. But like, imagine having contract out, doing super bloom, bringing them out all into the field, triggering all of their enter effects, go to your and then still during your opponent's end, like contract, go to your turn to make all of them 10/10s, and then just murder your opponent. Like,
Yeah.
oh, death by flowers, right? Like, we going in. Like, Niklaus is like honestly kind of terrifying.
This is like what Kurama wants to be, right? Like he's turning into Kurama from Yu Yu Hakusho with his like.
This is also like, I'm really glad that MST
Flowers.
exists because like you could get really punished. Like, this can be really good against Super Bloom, right?
Oh yeah,
Because MST then says all of those additions just get sent back to the bottom of your deck, which is like a really big reset. But also then I really see Niklaus being like, okay, we're going to be playing like Loki's Insight, we're going to be playing Dissonance of Rain, like things to be able to like play against that, which is like totally fine for me. Like, you're not just going to be able to just snap cast Super Bloom and be like, oh, this is going to resolve. Like, it's not. You have to be able to, but that's also kind of what makes it feel like it's the win con of the deck, is just resolve Super Bloom successfully. Which I'm okay with. Like, the problem with blue decks for a long time is that their win cons have been overly complicated. Like
or non-existent.
or non-existent, right? Like, it's just been hard for them to like, they have to have a sequence of things go perfect in order to kill you, and then even then it's like, maybe sometimes it doesn't work. Super Bloom just feels like, no, you're dead. Like, the game's over. Okay. Sure. Yeah, I like this card a lot. I think it's cool. We do get to see the Regalia up close. We've seen this before. It does have quick cast, even though it doesn't have the little symbol for it. Put a flower addition, total cost 1 or less from your hand to the field. Seal is where number of flowers you control and in the graveyard. Keep that in mind. And then contracts into, thank goodness they finally gave the blue animate ruler barrier. Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
So many like continuous effects where it's like, this ruler, like this ruler while it's on field does X, but it has 0 built-in protection. So you're like, this is garbage. Niklaus is like, no. Barrier.
It's fine.
Great.
Hold,
Great.
here's a bouquet.
I got
Hold
you,
this.
homie.
So all your flowers 10/10 resonators with flying. And whenever you play an enchanting spell, rest up to 1 target non-magic stone entity.
K4 crawled so Niklaus could fly.
Yep. Take it. Blue addition control. We've come back.
It's only taken 7 years, but it's finally exists.
Tell Phil. Tell Phil he's got a new blue addition control ruler. He'll jump right on it.
No,
Justice technically has barrier, sure, but like Justice was just kind of like, he wasn't helping anything else. He was just being Justice. Like, Niklaus is like providing a benefit by existing to a board state.
Niklaus
Justice
is the
didn't
win
do
con.
Yeah, Niklaus existing
Yeah.
and then throwing a bunch of flowers at you is the win con.
Yeah, only problem is that Phil would never cosplay Niklaus. Definitely would cosplay Kaguya though.
It's a pretty cool outfit.
It is a pretty cool outfit.
It's a pretty cool outfit. I like it. I dig it. Paul's definitely gonna claim the first version of Niklaus for the channel. Like I already know.
It's mine.
Yeah. I can't take it from him.
Now, if I was going to cosplay, here we go.
Niklaus, I'd take it. I'd see that.
I would cosplay Niklaus.
Yeah.
If I even had that budget.
Yeah.
This man is wearing a suit.
Yeah.
A tux.
Yeah, it's good. Tuxedo man.
Just make it out of paper mache. It's fun. Anyway.
Next up, we are jumping into green. We have Kilua, Shooting Star of Wind, as called. We expected her to be the wind one. 1 green, 2/2. Gains +2/+2 for each basic magic stone you control. Primitive Roar, when she's put into the field from the deck. Reveal the top card of your Magic Stone deck. If it's a basic Magic Stone, put it into the field tapped. And then if you control 5 or more basic Magic Stones with different Magic Stone types, recover all rulers and Magic Stones you control. Each turn, only 1 Primitive Roar can trigger. Pay 1 green and 5. Put a 2,000/2,000 Wind Dino Resonator token into the field. Pay 1 less to play for each different Magic Stone type among basic Magic Stones you control. Does not say during only your turn. Does not say during once per turn. So I understand that people are like, oh, the basic Magic Stone deck finally has like a win con, but even then it feels bad. I don't think you understand. She literally can pay 1 and put a 20/20 Resonator into the field. Like if this even happens, if she gets to the point where she can do that, you're dead. Like you're just dead. Like she's just going to keep making 20/20s until you die.
Big dinosaur.
Big Dino. I like the payoff for the basic Magic Stone deck. Like Stumblebug was like a pretty playable card. I argue that I kind of like Stumblebug as a card. We have things that recover stones. We have things that manipulate stone bases. We have things that cheat stuff in from the deck. We have things like Sacred Burial to like again ramp into stones that are recovered, right? Like I think this is fine. I think this card is honestly pretty dope. Little Red, the true fairy tale, right? To ramp stones as well.
Fun story about this one. A long time ago, there was a meme among the Deepwood boys that during one of Scott's first drafts, we were drafting BFA, which was terrible, by the way. One of the worst draft experiences of my entire life. But famously, his deck was 5-color good stuff, where he picked 2 of each stones to, and I quote, cover all his bases. So we're saying that Scott was like 7 years ahead of his time.
Yeah. There it is. I mean,
Phenomenal.
it is the like Marvel that has the most build up to be usable, right?
But it's
I'd
the most
argue-
build around one too.
It's also it has the most like direct support to it. Like as far as we've seen, Hyde has just herself. She is just herself, right? Elektra supports the Elektra deck kind of, but is honestly really just herself. Falchion is just himself. So like they will have to stand on how good they are by themselves. Like if the deck we have so much like cheat in from the deck that like I don't hate the idea of playing like a basic Magic Stone deck, especially considering like we have things that filter, we have things like Sacred Burial, we have things like Sisay that just make your stones be able to produce any color, so then like you don't care. Like I think that there's a deck here for this because again, if you hit 5 different uniques, you're just dead. The game's over. It just seems nuts to me. Even things like rewriting laws. I'd bring rewriting laws into this deck.
That's fair.
Right?
You guys remember Magic Stone Analysis? Me too.
Magic Stone Analysis. That brings the stone into play recovered.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
For
you
2,
play,
just get stone.
Oh, Rhea Cluster Gill with Absolute Awareness plus the
Like
Magic Stone
absolute
resources.
awareness, analysis, Magic Stone Analysis, Sacred Burial. Like we have a lot of ramp that brings the stone into play recovered. Like we actually
had
do
Gretel
have a
still.
pretty decent amount of. That's fine. We have Soul, but he costs double
Yeah.
white, so like,
Yeah.
But like, there is most certainly a deck here, right? You could play like a heavy green base and play like 15 stones, where you're just like heavy green control base using your ramp cards to grab your 5 basic magic stones and then going in with Kilua. Stumblebug also like sacks a dead stone, brings a stone into play recovered, right? Like, I'm just saying there's lines with this deck that I don't think you need to, I don't think people should be sleeping on it.
Everyone say hi, Rigby.
Hi Rigby.
Hi, Rigby.
Paul, you look like you had a thought.
I think you're more sold on this than I am. I don't
I'm just
recall.
excited to try it. I don't necessarily know if it's going to be
Yeah.
good, but I think that there's something there to play around with.
Let me distinguish, right? Because like there's two sides of my life in FOW, right? There's the
Sure.
oh wow, this is a cool design space. Like I just appreciate this from like a card gaming perspective space. And then there's the is this going to crack the metagame and be at tables? I don't know if it's going to be at tables, but I do think it's a really cool design in that they're like experimenting with basic magic stones to make those relevant because essentially they haven't been. Maybe like 99% of the time in this game, they've been completely irrelevant. So I'm glad they're at least like experimenting with that and like how do we make basic magic stones viable as a strategy? I think this is the closest they've come, especially recently.
What is the
There's certainly a core there that's being built. But there's another
So-
card that we're going to be talking about that's a little more interesting to me in that regard.
So Topographer, just to kind of go through some reminder things. Topographer is a 7/7 for 3 that recover up to 5 basic magic stones you control with different magic stone types.
I thought it was just a
Magic-
3-mana, no stats.
Magic Stone analysis. Search your Magic Stone deck for a non-special Magic Stone and put it into your field. So recovered. Keep that in mind. Sacred Burial also puts it into field recovered.
Mhm.
And Magic Stumblebug pay is a 1 cost that banishes a Magic Stone you control. If you do, search your Magic Stone deck for a basic Magic Stone and put it into the field. Right? Like, so we do have ways for this deck to just find the like darkness, water, fire, and light stones, right? So the idea of playing like a 14 stone deck so that you have like one of each of those other stones is very viable. Other interestingly, hold on, I got one second. This might be insane, and feel free to tell me. Is it?
It's insane.
Oh, dang it. Explosion of Magog specifically targets your opponent. I was going to be like, are we going to Explosion Magog our own stones so we can get to 5 uniques faster? Like, that would be kind of cool.
Jimmy, shut up. Come on, man.
He went there.
I mean, the fact that it's got all these awakenings for these different colors, I'm just like, end step, Explosion of Magog, my own stone, get an awakening trigger, get a stone, get closer to this. Like, that's something I was like, maybe. But it doesn't work, unfortunately.
Yeah, the one thing that I think you're implicitly pointing out here is we need our stones to be consistent still, even though we have these other magic stones contained within them. And so,
Yeah.
like either there's one way where you go, like, hey, I need more stones to make this more consistent, so I can run rulers that like correct magic stones as well. Like that's another option you can go. Like for Grim, you can like just have a fairy tale deck, and this is just a win con now. Blazer, the OG Blazer ruler that corrected all your stones to just also being red stones is also very interesting to me. I don't know how.
Sylvia, that corrects all of them to being green.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Like there might be something there. But this is definitely
For
the
me-
most experimental deck that we've
For
seen
me,
so
this
far.
deck is like 10 stones that have wind magic stone type. So like a spread of like deep like the original like for resonance purposes. Because one thing to keep in mind is that Maya's contract wants its seal, but also its wind magic stones. And it's not wind basic magic stones, it's just wind magic stones.
Mhm. So you
So
do things like blasting waves and gusting skies.
Like if I hit 3 blasting waves, I can use contract. Right? That's one thing to keep in mind. So for me, it's
use
like 10.
deep wood.
It'd be like 10 stones of the original dual stone mentality, and then 1 of each of the other 4 basics. Like that would be like the stone base when I first built it. Guardian Dragon, also, yeah, another great card in green that can do this kind of thing. It's definitely a Prisia deck. It's a Prisia Beasts deck. Like, we can start. You're here. This card seems very, very fun. I'm very excited about it. It's fun to play around with. It's probably getting slotted into the cube and then immediately taken out.
Yikes.
No, maybe not. There's enough special stones in the cube that I think it's probably fine to be able to play this, especially because we have the other like magic stone, like basic magic stone stuff in the cube. But like this is a very cool card. I like the design space for it a lot. It feels like a nice complement to the basic magic stone stuff that we've already seen printed, and a good way to pull into the old basic magic stone wanderer support that we've seen, which is great. If Gretel ever gets unbanned, fucking watch out for this deck.
Absolutely.
Yikes. Yeah.
There's also a real chance that we just get more incremental support for this particular play style as the game goes on, because like we're already seeing that true, because it started last set and it's in this set now as a main mechanic for green.
For sure. I wouldn't be surprised if like if we're going into if we're going into Rhea Cluster next set and we get Gil, I wouldn't be surprised if Gil brings some more of this like basic Magic Stone shenanigans to the table with like spirit magics and stuff. Or if Gil gets because the other thing too is like if Gil gets a partner, then you have like the spirit magic ramp production for stuff and a partner ruler, then like this also feeds into that too, right? Because Gil could make use of stones in very different ways. So like that's also really cool. Cool card. I like it.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Weird Tiger Staring At. Cool, moving on. That card's awful. Moving on.
Whoa, hey, come on. Look at that. You can rearrange your Magic Stone deck, Jeremy.
And then draw a card. Don't even get to bring them back into play. You just look at the top 5 stones, put them back into your order, and draw a card. Card's absolutely unplayable. Bye. Next up, we have Porin, the Fairy of Harvesting Wind. 2 green, 6/6. This card has the Magic Stone type Wind Magic Stone. Recover target Magic Stone you control on enter. An Awakening of X. Search your deck for a Wind Resonator, total cost X or less. Put it into the field, then shuffle your deck. Honestly, great card. It's a dope card.
Yeah. This is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's like a little mini Prisia.
Yeah, for sure. It's fine.
Really like that.
I really like it a lot. Like the other fact is like the fact that it enters a magic, like if I pay 3, I don't feel as bad because on enter it's gonna refund 1, so I'm still like paying the initial base cost that I was gonna play for Porin, and I'm getting the thing out of the deck, right? So the effect of the Awakening, like I really like this card a lot. It's gonna get you a lot of the 1-drops. It's gonna get you something like, you know, the Kilua or a Stumble Bug. Like I would love to, like, the idea of you could potentially make this only cost 1 by like doing this into a Stumble Bug, recover a stone, Stumble Bug sacks the other stone, gets you another stone. Like that's a nice little trick for this deck. Like this deck has some room to wiggle around.
Noting that it's a fairy, like a lot of the fairies from back in like Wind Sprite specifically, 1-cost Wind Resonator. So like there's some like real applications here in the fairy deck too. I think.
Can we talk about how gorgeous all of the fairy artwork has been as well, just like across the board?
Oh yeah,
phenomenal. It's just been phenomenal. So good.
We should probably clarify as well that just because this card is treated as Magic Stone type Wind Magic Stone, that does not mean it produces will.
Correct.
I miss this. I miss this discourse.
I don't miss that discourse at all. God.
Oh, man. I can't wait for it to happen again. It's happening.
Charlie can tell you why.
Next up, we have Riding on the Storm. 1 green, 1
Riding
colorless.
on the
This card
storm.
deals X 100 damage, divided by as you choose among any number of target J/resonators your opponent controls, where X is the total attack of J/resonators you control. So add
Riding
it
on
all
the
up.
storm.
Add it all up. Dish it all out. That's board wipe. Green has a board wipe now.
Yeah.
As if they didn't already. Anyway, continue.
They don't really. Green's never really had like a good board wipe.
Yeah.
Like
Honestly, like just having this in green is kind of useful. Is it the best board wipe? God no. But
it's nice for green to have.
Still
yeah,
Final Battle.
it's something for green to have.
Yeah.
It's not Final Battle, but it'll do.
The artwork on it is pretty sick. I'm really enjoying all of this
Solid.
like Maya and Kilua artwork. Like
I don't like the fact that Kilua looks like she just like lost 50 pounds by like immediately cleansing herself of everything.
That's fine. Next up, we have our flower for green, Healing Ginkgo. This card has Magic Stone type Wind Magic Stone. Banish this card for cover target Magic Stone you control.
It's also a Magic Stone type Wind Magic Stone.
Yeah. Yep.
But that does not mean it produces will.
This flower seems just fine. It probably isn't going to be played in Maya decks, but it is going to be played in Niklaus decks. Easily.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Very good.
Yeah.
It's also
Really
like
else.
it opens up like ideas for like potential tags there too, potentially.
Yeah,
But
for sure. Next up, we have Beast in the Wind. So 1 green, 1 colorless,
Beast.
6/6 Pierce. When this card is put into your field from the deck, it gains Swiftness until end of turn. Resonance Wind Magic Stone. Whenever a card with Wind Magic Stone type enters your whenever a card with Magic Stone type Wind Magic Stone. Thank you for that clarification on Resonance. Like, it helps to clarify with also the way that they're wording these other cards. So, like, playing a Ginkgo would trigger this card's Resonance. Playing the Fairy would trigger this card's Resonance. Like, I really like how they're, like, kind of doing problem-solving text. Whenever a card with Magic Stone type Wind Magic Stone enters the field under your control, double the attack and defense of this card until end of turn.
Seems decent.
Piggy just like got catapulted into the digital world, and he's like, I don't know why I'm here. I'm flying at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and I'm scared. Help. This piggy's great. This piggy's great.
I will die for him.
Yeah.
I will shield him with my body, and I will die for him.
Interestingly enough, if you're playing a red-green resonance deck and you play Magic Stone Dance of Chaos, this card suddenly becomes 4,800 damage. Because you double it 3 times. 6 to 12, 12 to 24, 24 to 48. Man has Pierce.
Exponential.
So, like, terrifying. Just a little bit terrifying. I also really do like that they're, like, very clearly giving us reasons to not just play the 4 Sea Stones. Like, that we're getting more resonance stuff is kind of nice.
Yeah,
like, it
I like
doesn't
it.
have to be 4 Sea or bust. Like, there are benefits to not playing the 4 Sea Stones. And I'm glad to see that diversity. This card is great. I love the card artwork. I love the effect. I also just really like that also we're leaning into a heavier green core for Priscia, Seeker of Friends, to be able to lean into. Hold on. Because for the longest time, Priscia has just been like Priscia Toolbox. Let's look at all these other different colors. Now there's like a green core that Priscia can like pull from and really make use of, and I just really like that. Just Calamity shield the attack. You got it.
Yikes. Okay.
You got it. Careful not to click on that card. Next up we have Wild Covet. Is it? I can't.
Wild Conquest?
Conquest. It's like covered up by the lizard, so it's like tiny for me.
We love SRs.
In my head, Arla just drops him from 1,000 feet. Just drop the pig. Pepsi of Nazareth. Is there a place where people play FOW online? Yes, you can play on untap.in. You can also get plugged into any of the Discord servers, and people play on webcam pretty frequently.
Oh yeah.
Those are really good places to play for sure. Okay. So 1 green wild skill. Choose 1 or choose 2. Up to 1 target J/Resonator you control gains +1,000/1,000 until end of turn and draw a card. Destroy any number of target non-Magic Stone, non-J ruler, non-token entities with a combined total cost of X or less, where X is the number of entities with Wind Magic Stone type Wind Magic Stone you control. This one's okay. Like, this one's not great. It's
it's
like,
a board clear.
Like, it can be, especially because it'll count stones. Like, that's the thing that is, like, again, leaning into that, like, playing the dual stones, right? Because the original dual stones will have the Wind Magic Stone type, so then suddenly this card just becomes, like, naturally getting more and more, which is nice. It is also just, like, a better, like, Winds of Vitality or any of our, like, 1-drop quick cast +6/+6 wind cards.
Rapid growth.
Rapid growth. Like,
Let's go.
it's just, like, better.
Remember rapid growth? Here's your now feel old.
And especially because it cantrips. Like, this card's pretty good. Like, this will be played by Maya decks for sure. It just is not like. I guess maybe it does have more flexibility than I'm giving it credit for, because you can play into the Wind Magic Stones in your stone deck to make the spot removal part of it better.
I'd easily slam like 3 to 4 copies. Just because that +1K, 1K, and draw a card is relevant to some degree, especially with Pig. But yeah, the wipe effect, we've definitely seen better versions of that on other cards. That being said, it's still better than the last board wipe we got for green, which was
the
like
fact that it can hit Regalia, Resonators, and Additions.
Yeah.
Right? So that's the part that I think is great.
It doesn't hit J rulers and it doesn't hit tokens, which I think is so weird.
I think the reason why they did that is specifically because it counts total cost. Because if it included tokens and J rulers, they all cost 0. So, like, every time you cast this card, you'd just be able to kill all of them, which is a mistake that they've learned from Asuka's contract.
Fair. Fair.
I'm glad for that distinction.
FOW learning from its mistakes.
Crazy.
More likely than you think.
What?
Unbelievable.
Inconceivable.
Inconceivable.
Patrick Kelly, I don't know what your comment is about. I think you might be in the wrong stream, but if you're here to talk about Forcible, hi, welcome.
Let's see it. Where'd it go?
The belly is there.
Yeah.
That's the best part.
Can have the Luke Gell certified. Oh my god, no way. Wow. That's crazy.
Crazy. I don't know what any of that means. But
neither do I.
Belly is here.
We did have 4 other cards that got spoiled by the 7 Kings team, also called as Only FOW TCG podcast from Spain and Alejandro. So we're going to talk about those tonight.
Thank you, Alejandro. We love you.
Remote Island Oni. Who was going to think we were going to see Oni come back as a race in 2023? Not me. 2 red and 5 colorless. 14/14. Swiftness, Bloodlust, Precision, Pierce. You pay 1 less to play this card for each blazing skill or wild skill in your graveyard. The fact that it's both is insane to me about this card. Like, do you want to play red-green aggro? Okay, you're playing Maya Brandhart. You're going to dump all their skills to the graveyard, and then you're going to start slamming these Onis for 2. Like,
I'm here for it.
This card is fantastic. Like, it's so good. Wow, just absolutely gives, like, I really do hope we see more cards that are very clearly driven towards certain pairings to encourage you to try different pairings, right?
Absolutely.
Like, the problem with, like, the 6 Sages the 6 sages were so generic that their support was so generic that people just were like, well, we'll just play the 2 best sages. They fixed that a little bit with the 7th with the Fallen Angels, but then it was just that Carliana and Belial were just too good in general, so it didn't really matter. But like this tag combination is very like they're very clearly designed to like encourage you to try different stuff. And I think that's really cool. I think this is a great example of that. And just all in all, gorgeous card. Great card for people who like
big boy.
Big boy.
No,
Big boy.
not necessarily. They are real demons on this island. Seriously.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, I really like the
what's the fastest way we can turbo all your blazing skills and wild
flavor
skills into the grave?
Flavor text meme on point with this card. So good.
Also,
what's the fastest way we can get all our shit into the grave, by the way?
I want more like Oni and other crap. Like I just want like this is a Japanese thing. Like just give that to me. I need more of that.
Yeah, this card's sick. I like it a lot. Harvesting season. You could play that.
Dang.
Next up, we have Star Lake Fairy. 1 blue, 1 colorless, 5/5. This card gains +2/+2 for each addition you control. On enter, if you control 1 or more additions, draw a card. So they were like, wait a minute. We're going to take Engineer of Eternal, which we have hard banned. We're going to cut it in half. We're going to make it a fairy. And then we're going to print it again. And we all went, yeah, okay.
And it's not free this time.
And it's not. That's the cutting it in half.
Yeah, there you go. Jeremy, to making it free doesn't cut it in half. That guts it.
Yeah, that
Let's
does
be very real.
That's for sure. I think this card's great. And again, this is another great example of like something that encourages you to try Niklaus plus Tina together, right? Because this is probably not a fairy that you're just going to choose to play in a Tina deck. And it's probably like there's nothing about Niklaus's package that goes, yeah, I want to play fairies. This is a card that's like you're playing Niklaus Tina, here's a fairy. You'll benefit. Both of your rulers will benefit from this.
This has a lot of Fairy of Ma'at vibes to me.
Oh yeah.
Except for Regalia, and you get additions instead. And I like this. I like this card. Fun normal.
Good normal. Great normal.
Next up, we have... This card is busted to me. Malefic Tree Necromancer. 1 black, 1 colorless, 7/7. So overstated for a 2-drop. Remove 2 cards in your graveyard from the game. Put a 4/4 Darkness Ethereal Resonator token into the field. It gains at the next end of turn. The controller banishes it. Play this ability only once per turn, which is not just during your turn. It's during either player's turn.
That's pretty neat.
Like, that's cracked. Like, because we've seen Stein's abilities as like having to do with trying to manipulate ethereals and everything else, but all of the ethereals he's making are dying at end of turn. Just to have this as an overstated body that helps you make ethereals during your opponent's turn. And also, think about cards like Moan of the Dead. Like, I'll remove 2 cards in my graveyard and make a darkness token, and then immediately sack that token to Moan of the Dead. Sure. And then, by the way, a token died? That means Revenge is live for the turn. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot that comes out of this card in terms of the ability to interact during your opponent's turn that I'm honestly terrified about. This card's great. This card's very good.
You have won me over. Also, it's a human.
It is a human.
It's a 2-cost human. And here you are, summon.
Yeah, this card's cool. I like it a lot.
I can summon it.
Also, the fact that the 1-drop, like, think about this for a second. The 1-drop playline for the ethereal deck is probably the Malefic Tree Ethereal, and then sacking the 2 tokens made by that for the original incarnate Nyarlathotep. the 4-cost 8/8 that looks at your opponent's hand and discards a card. So you just get to play a
Oh.
1-drop. It becomes a 4/4, reveals a 7-king from outside the game, makes 2 tokens. You sack those tokens, Nyarlathotep, peek at your opponent's hand. Like, what? Like, gross. And then you have this as the second card, right? And so it's just like, ugh. It synergizes with harvesting. Oh no! Yeah, for sure. Oh no, this card's very cool. I like it a lot.
You've won me over. Like I didn't quite understand, and now I do.
As a person who's been playing ABC and looking at Moan of the Dead more and more and more and seeing how good it is more and more and more, the fact that I can just like have a way to make something I'm immediately gonna banish to Moan of the Dead is like, yep, great. I'm here. Totally fine. Lastly, we have Malefic Tree Beast. 1 green, quick beast with Pierce, 3/3, gains +2/+2 for each 7 kings ruler you own revealed outside the game. On enter, you may reveal a 7 kings ruler from outside the game that does not share a 7 kings, blah, 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 blah. And when this card is put into the field from your deck, it deals X hundred damage to target J/Resonator your opponent controls, where X is the attack of this card. So, if you have... The fact that it just gets at... It's only at 2 revealed, it's a 7/7 for 1. But again, like... If we... this card becomes better if Origins is being like if the 7 kings rulers from Alice Origins are getting errated to be 7 kings, because then you can use Origins in this deck to like accelerate. Because like, I mean, I get it, but it's also not great. Like, it's not insane because of how slow it scales to getting bigger, with only +2/+2 for each.
Yeah. If in the great scenario in which Origins is errated and unbanned, this is an amazing tempo card.
Yeah.
I really like this card. And it's a
also
1-drop, so it works with Keep the Faith. So suddenly Keep the Faith is a 1-drop, like instant speed kill spell.
It has to come from grave, or it has to come from deck to field. So keep.
When you field from your deck, yes. Never mind. Well, we saw that new fairy.
Yeah, but it's
So
also
that too.
the other thing to keep in mind is the fact that it's green black, so it's playing into Dark Tree tag, and Dark Tree with Sebin does want to have more 7 kings revealed. So like this card plays more into Sebin than it does to Maya, and I think for that purpose it does its job as well. So we saw that they errated Origins. That is correct, but the current errata of Origins is that it reveals the Alice Origins rulers, and they are not 7 kings on their front side. So I meant an errata to the Alice Origins rulers to give them the race 7 kings so that this card could still reveal them. That would be the question, which seems not likely. I don't think it's going to happen, personally. Because the whole purpose of like Alice Origins, it was like the story of them becoming the kings. They weren't really the kings until after Alice Origins finished. So I could see them not getting that errata. Whew. That's everything we got.
That's a lot of cards, Jeremy.
That's a lot of cards.
Good stuff.
Huge shout out to
It's a slow burn for me.
Huge shout out to Alejandro and the rest of the 7 Kings for giving some of these over to us. This is cool.
Yeah, for sure. They showed it over on their podcast, which you should go check out if you can understand Spanish. I cannot that well.
No comprende.
But we still don't know what the 2 extension rules are. The other 2 extension rules. Alejandro got into it. So here's a conversation that we can kind of end it. We can end it on. We've seen 1 extension rule so far. We've seen 2, technically. Crimson Moon Battleground, which gave a specific tag combination plus a generic sweep tag combination. the one we have seen so far, only gave 2 specific tag combinations and no generic. Alejandro and I got into a conversation about, with the other 2 extension rulers, what is better for overall game health? Not necessarily fun value, because I think we would all know what the most fun would be, but like best design-wise decision.
All right, I'm gonna be real.
Generic extension rules or specific extension rules?
See, Jeremy, I'm going to be real with you. I don't think a lot of Forceful players know what the correct fun value is of certain, analyses.
Sure.
Just saying.
Well, like in my mind, the idea of like creating the most fun would be the idea of like the generics, I would say, is the idea of the most fun, but like less considerate of like possible destructive game state. Because like the idea of like Paul and I were talking about this earlier, Prisia, like red-green Prisia tagged with Flicker Lumia could actually genuinely become a problem. Because of the idea of like play a thing, give it swiftness with calling a stone, resonance, flicker
and
it
then
immediately
flicker
with
it.
Lumia.
Yeah,
like
sure.
That's like actually something to be like, that might be a problem.
I could see that.
Stuff like that. Like, so the idea of or just like, sure, Alice cluster all has tag, but really what it is just that ruler plus reflect refrain. Like, just becomes the reflect refrain problem again, where like you're really not actually seeing people do a bunch of stuff with Alice cluster. You're just seeing them do a ruler plus R&R. And so the question, like, that's the debate of like, I can see the fun of that. I can see like that people would really be excited about it. I would really enjoy that too. But like, to have a real conversation, overall, do we think that it would be better to do something like that or have more just like specific rule extensions, kind of like what we've seen out of Clash of the Star Trees? Can be multiple rule extensions per rule like multiple tags per rule extension, but just like that idea.
So yeah, I'm always in the camp of like a rule extension that doesn't specifically like what I'm looking for. That's like specific to one ruler. Always feels like wasted game design to me. Just as a personal note, like I don't think that's entirely true. Doesn't have to be, but I always feel like game design can be a lot better the more open you leave it to players to kind of like let it resonate with them, essentially.
Okay.
Well, I'm in that camp, but again, I've been working on card game design for a while now. Yeah. But the thing is, like, I like the idea of like restrictions, but like freedom within those restrictions, and I feel like extension rules that target specific rulers don't give that.
Sure. There's an element of like it at that point in time, an extension rule becomes more of like a ruler errata than necessarily like an extension rule. And like,
fully agreed.
And so it's like, is that what they're wanting to do with it? Is that the right way to do it? Like, it's a weird balance, because like
it's an impossible balance. I'm not gonna lie, it is a balance that is impossible to maintain. You really have to like go the extra mile to figure out exactly why you want things to be as restrictive as they are. But if you have too much freedom or too much power within the restrictions, that breaks the balance.
Yeah, Rustin, like I said, the combo ban list would blow up, right? The idea of like, you could very much just create a wave where suddenly we add like 45 things to the combination ban list. So like to get ahead of it, but to still scratch the itch of let's go back and see what happens with these older rulers, doing more specific extension rules, while not necessarily giving you the full freedom, still gives you like the same kind of intent while being probably safer for the game state, is like the argument there. And one could argue that like the older rulers are probably just like maybe not good enough even with that if you just had full free reign. But like Grim Cluster, I could argue that was true, but I would like to point again to Lapis Cluster, which had some of like the most busted like front side ruler effects we've ever seen. So to give them all like free reign tag is a little concerning. Or to like let
actually terrifying, not gonna lie.
to let Lilius Petal play on curve instead of having to play off tempo. Little scary. Like a little scary.
Yeah.
So like there's some things there. But Paul, go ahead. Give me your thoughts.
Well, like I was gonna say, like I think when we look at Grim Cluster as a whole, the ruler design in that particular cluster originally the Bahamut thing was the real issue, right? Because red got so much just gas in the early days of Force of Will that Bahamut was the problem ruler, but that's really leveled out when you look at that card specifically today. So as you look at all of these like 20 different rulers, you can by process of elimination just kind of figure out like which ones are the strongest, and probably the strongest is like Abdul, Lumia, maybe Grim, and like a handful
Christie's
of
pretty
others.
cool. Christie's pretty
Yeah.
cool. I've been doing some gross things where like if you're going second as Christie, you can just start the game with 7 cards.
So I think in that space, there's nothing that's like generically there's nothing generically like cracked about those combinations of rulers, but as soon as you introduce something generically powerful like Reflect Refrain, that becomes problematic. You could also potentially make an argument for Blazer, like correcting all of your stones to be red in addition to whatever else they are. It gets even worse as you go into Lapis Cluster because again, you have like the most powerful effect for a really long time was turn your card sideways, get a second enter effect, and that's just always been good. So I think going ahead, if Reflect Refrain did not exist, I'd be okay with a generic Alice Cluster extension rule, right? But probably for the sake of game balance, we need to bring in tags that make sense with
rather
one
than just,
or
like,
two
opening the
rulers.
floodgates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only because, I mean, at this point, the designers are having to go back, and the design team has definitely changed in its philosophy, in its makeup, and all this stuff. So, like, they're having to go back and say, like,
their willingness to appear in public.
willingness to appear in public. Yeah, especially that, right? So like they have to go back and like do the work that their predecessors did back then and see if like is it feasible to do something in our design space with that, which is a really, really hard thing to do. I think it's even like amazing they got away with that with Grim Cluster. So I don't know if they can pull it off again.
Honestly though, like I'm kind of fine either way. Like in a strange way, I think I wouldn't be as fine with it if we didn't have ABC format. Ironically enough, because like ABC makes me more willing to accept that extension rules will be more specific. Because if I really want to play that specific ruler again, I can just like slot it into an ABC deck.
From like a pure fan standpoint. Right.
Yeah, like I can still make use of it even if I can't play it in like a tournament or something like that. With like so in that regard, like I think so. I should say this. I think the groundwork is there that we could see both specific or generic extension rules, and I think I'm okay. I'm more okay with specific than I think I was when I first realized we were getting more than one extension rule. Like, I think when I first thought, I was like, oh, it's going to be wide open. But then I started thinking about it more, and I was like, maybe we can't. Maybe we don't do that. So, yeah. Mike Rance has the award for the worst at loops. That's what Mike Rance's award is.
I don't play combo formats. I'm a mid-range player. Somebody told me to play a loop. I did it, and I didn't advance the board state. It was great.
Yeah. The only reason you won that game is because Gerardo literally told you that you were doing it wrong. Like
I love Gerardo, dude. That guy's the best.
Just like told you that you were doing it wrong.
Listen, okay. I'm gonna be fair. If I had just done the loop over and over again, it would have wasted his time. So he wanted to secure more time in the game too.
Yeah, because it wasn't game one, right? Yeah, but you also wouldn't have won game one if you just did it forever.
I would have advanced no board state.
Yeah,
I would have figured out.
I'm sure at some point you would have figured it out.
Probably.
Like, what is happening? Why am I not doing this?
I was beyond hungover during that tournament. It was great.
Yeah. But that's it for us for tonight. lots of cool stuff coming in the coming weeks. This week we have a feature match between Jordan Williams, back from Japan, back at Odyssey Games, playing again
Jordan!
with ironically enough, Order Kaguya, the deck that he first played when he first showed up in the channel, the ruler he did, but now playing an updated version with some cool new support. It's honestly a really fun match. Playing against Sherry plus no, it's not Sherry, Christy plus Lumia. Speaking of tag. So that's the feature match for this week. Paul will be working on trying to finally record us a good reunion match.
Summoning Dalton.
So, yeah, summoning Dalton so we can get a good reunion game. And then we'll be at new set. So look forward to that in the coming weeks. Deck profiles and everything else will be up as usual. And yeah, be sure to check out all the links in the description. And again, go get signed up for that fundraiser this Saturday. It's going to be a lot of fun. And until next time, this has been myself, DMO73, and I've been joined as always by Mike Rance.
I did nothing wrong. That format was trash.
And Paul Reisman.
I did everything wrong. That format was pristine, and I made it worse.
Class
Yay!